John Solomon is an award-winning investigative journalist. He's the founder, CEO, and editor-in-chief of Just the News. He's got decades of experience at some of the most prestigious news outlets in the world and continues his role as one of the country's most impactful investigative reporters. So glad to have him here, a great friend. Welcome to the show for the first time, John Solomon.
Good to be,
John.
Good to be with you, Governor. Thank you so much.
You know, you practice old school journalism. You don't approach it with the sense that you've got it all figured out. You dig, you look, you report facts. Sometimes they don't look good for Republicans, and you report that. Sometimes it doesn't look good for Democrats, and you report that.
Yeah.
You're kind of alone out there.
It's a lonely time in journalism if you're interested in finding the facts and then writing the story, because today too many of my colleagues decide the story, then try to shoehorn the facts into it. And that's why the American public have lost so much trust in the traditional institutions of news.
And that's a tragedy. We need the media. Yeah. We need them to be honest, though.
Yes, we do.
You used to be at the Washington Post.
I did, yes.
What's happened at the Washington Post?
You know, I saw the other day my former boss, the former executive editor of the Washington Times, he goes all the way back to the Watergate days. He's in the movie, Len Down, and he said, we have to stop worrying about objectivity and neutrality. We got to start imposing a moral edict. And I thought, well, how could the guy I work for say that? We're not in the job of making people's minds up. Our job is to give people facts and let them make their minds up. There's an elitist group in charge of the news industry today, and they believe their job is they're smarter than the American people. We're going to make their minds up for them, and that's where they lost their audience from.
John, I saw something today, Karine Jean-Pierre getting hammered at the White House, as was John Kirby. And there were reporters that were actually doing their job. And these weren't Fox News reporters. These were, you know, people from all over the spectrum of the news industry. And they were asking hard questions. They were getting stonewalled. And you could tell they were getting frustrated.
They are.
Are we getting to a breaking point where the media is going to say, wait a minute, we've been lied to?
I think that's exactly what's happened. Listen, for a while after I wrote the original Hunter Biden stories in 2019, I got portrayed. I'd done all this award-winning work in major institutions for years. I was a conspiracy theorist for a couple of years. But the last 6 months, I've had all of my colleagues in major news organizations come to me and say, hey, we got this wrong. Tell us where we went wrong. Tell us where we can find things. I've been working with major news organizations, partnering with Just the News to get that out. I think they realized they bit into a really bad bait, and they got taken around for a long time. And they know they misled the American public. They don't want to say it, but they know in their heart of hearts they did. I'm beginning to see journalism resemble a little bit what it used to look like 20, 30 years ago when I got in the profession.
It's a glimmer of hope, and I hope it starts happening.
It has to.
John, you were given unfettered access by Speaker McCarthy to all of the video that was taken, all of the security video, everything that happened on January the 6th. I know it's probably a task that'll take months.
It will.
To look through it. Is there anything that you have seen that already makes you think we haven't been given the full story?
Oh, yes, absolutely. We're going to learn so much about January 6th. There was a preconceived narrative, and the media, once again, had the narrative, then tried to fit the facts in it. The facts are way more complicated. The story is way more nuanced. There were people who did bad things. There are also people who didn't do very much wrong at all, but are getting punished like they were, you know, major felons. And what you're seeing now is there's a discussion that they're going to change the perimeter of the Capitol and charge people that were on the outside like they had gone into the Capitol. There is a mindset in the Justice Department and FBI. We saw it all through the Trump years, but it's now that if you're any way associated with Donald Trump, you're going to get treated differently. A lot of people think this is a red-blue thing. It isn't. Alan Dershowitz said this to me the other day, and it really smacked me. It's true. He said there is a difference between anyone associated with Trump and the rest of the world in the justice system right now. We have to fix that. Justice has to be blind. The person you're prosecuting, their face, their name shouldn't matter. And certainly their politics shouldn't matter. That is not the case right now in the Justice Department. It's not.
And, you know, Alan Dershowitz is self-described liberal. He never voted for
Joe Biden.
Voted for Joe Biden. Would never vote for any Republican. I've known Alan many years. He's a brilliant legal scholar, but he's also an unapologetic, you know, legitimate liberal who really believes his stuff. And I admire him because he's fair when it comes to the law.
He is.
I want you to tell us about this book you just come up with, Hidden Headlines, A Seymour Clues Mystery. So you're writing books now for children.
I never thought this would be something I would do. I'm so grateful for the opportunity that Brave Books gave me. This book has two interesting origins. One is a funny, humiliating experience for me. My son, who's autistic, got a hamster a few years ago, and his mom, he went on a trip to go visit Grandma and Grandpa, and I was left in charge of the hamster, and I was given one rule: feed it, don't lose it. That's all I was told to do. I must have fed it and left the gate just a little open, and this hamster got out, and I spent to 2 o'clock in the morning on my hands and knees with a stethoscope finding Chunk, and I found him in an air conditioning vent. I got him back into the camp. And I thought, ooh, I dodged a bullet. My wife will never know. The next day, my co-host on television, Amanda Head, told the world. My wife found out that I lost the hamster. And so Chunk started trending on social media. We wanted to give parents and grandparents an opportunity to tell them something that schools aren't teaching their children anymore. Schools are not teaching children that free speech matters. In fact, some students and young adults that I've been bringing into my own newsroom said, I was taught that censorship could be okay in some circumstances. It's anathema to the American experience. I wanted to give parents a story that they can tell their children. Free speech matters. And so it's a very simple story. Chunk is a newspaper publisher, sort of like what I do. And he has a newspaper, and he wants to get it out because there's about to be a flood. He wants to warn his community. And a mean koala bear named Carl, yes, he is modeled after Karl Marx, he clogs up all of the tubes in the hamster village, and they can't get the newspaper out. And then this detective dog comes along and solves the mystery, and they're able to save the community before the flood comes. And it's a very simplistic way of really telling children it does matter. And in the very first day that we launched the book, I went to Philadelphia, the land of liberty, where this great country was born. I was with Kirk Cameron, and all the children were sitting around. We were reading to them, and you could see they grasped it right away. They were way ahead of me. I thought, they're going to take about 8 or 10 pages of figure. They figured it out right away. We have to give our children alternatives to scholastic books and all of this woke ideology. So what Brave Books has done is given people like me a chance to share one little bit of that great American experience.
I'm almost glad that you lost your son's hamster, because now we get this wonderful book.
Well, now he has an agent, too. My hamster has an agent.
There you go. Yeah. That's what we want. Well, John, I want to tell you, you're one of my very favorite people. I love what you are doing because it's legitimate, honest journalism.
Thank you, sir.
And for our audience, John's book, Hidden Headlines, is available now. You can head over to Huckabee.tv. We'll tell you how to get your own copy for your children, your grandchildren, or, hey, for yourself.